We've all heard the saying, age ain't nothing but a number, but how many of us actually live that belief? Now, with the passage of time, most people are quite conscious of the fact that they're getting older, and with that comes added pressure, and in some cases, disappointment and regret. Now, usually the pressure takes on new meaning when we hit the age of 40, and the question is, does life really begin at 40? Welcome to the show.
I had the confidence as a woman to say, I can be in Senate, I can be with my daughter, I can be anywhere and still be a woman.
At that age, really, there's not much chance of you saying, well, I'm going to lose 20 kilos, have a fabulous new body, and then I will start dressing nicely.
Yeah, I could go back with a Nobel Prize, and the first question they would ask me is, so, are you married yet? How many kids do you have? And there's an incredible look of pity on their faces when I tell them that, no, still single, still doing my thing.
I climbed the Ronzoris, and I loved that. My knees were giving way because, your knees go,
On the show today, we'll be talking with women who have reached the age of 40 and are celebrating it. It's been said that if life really begins on your 40th birthday, it's because that's when women finally get it, the guts to take back their lives. Now, if you're watching this and you're 40, have a quick think about your life as it is and what you would really like it to be. And I'd really like you to write to me with your thoughts on this. Now, my first guest is a woman who terms herself as strong, independent, and intelligent. Welcome to the show, Suki Mwendwa. What a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Patricia. It's great being here.
Now, okay, let's start off with your 20s, 30s, and 40s. You're going, oh, why? But I don't know, how have your dreams changed from when you were in your 20s, now, then moving on to 30s and 40s? What's been the difference?
Well, I think when I started my 20s, I had a lot of, there were expectations in your life.
Yeah.
When I think of it now, I'm saying so much had to be done in such a short time. You're supposed to sort of leave university and then get a job and then find a husband and then have kids, get married. I mean, I was like, wow. My God, no wonder it was a stress. I don't think I'd want to go through that again. But having said that, I think 20s was sort of like laying the basis. Yes, I think I went through most of that, and I was supposed to get married, and unfortunately, my fiancé died. So that was my first awakening to life. So I thought, okay, you take so long to relate with someone, when are you going to really get married? So when I got into my 30s, it was like, oh gosh, you're hitting the ditch. I mean, 30, you're hitting the ditch. And then I said, well, I remembered this song, there's a rose in Spanish Harlem, which is all concrete. I said, oh, I'll just be the rose then. Let me just think of the rose and get on with that. And but I also took that time to say, okay, let me do my PhD. Because actually, that same time, I did meet someone else, and they also passed away. And so I said, wait a minute, maybe marriage is not my thing. Maybe I should just put that one aside. And I did decide, okay, let me do my PhD, which was in architecture. And so I went to the US, and I think there was a number of things I wanted to use that time for, to sort of really reconcile what is my philosophy, what do I think about life? At the same time, be somewhere else, meet new people, and
explore.
And silently in there, I said, well, I just might meet somebody. But I think I still had a slight...
bit of apprehension.
A little apprehension. People told me, you're from Ukambani, maybe you need to kill a black goat.
And that will just,
Yeah, but I said, well...
chase away all the...
But one thing I did come to realize was I went more within. And I think one thing that really took me through all this time was my dancing. That has been my constant ever since I was 3.
Companion.
Oh, I mean, if you want to be in my life, you better accept that. If you don't, sorry. So that really sort of gave me the opportunity to make my adjustments. I was also doing Afro-Cuban folkloric dance, classic jazz, ballet.
But I've seen you do an Indian dance.
No, I'm doing Indian classical now.
Yes, I've seen that. I've seen you in action. Absolutely fantastic. But
So I went through just about all the dancing I wanted. Especially it helped me when I had writer's block doing my PhD. I was like, oh my goodness, what was I thinking doing this? And my PhD was very much to do with design and architectural and human environments. But I found I was still talking about dance in creating place and space and understanding indigenous cultures. So dance has always been my interpreter.
So what does being a 40-something mean to you?
Well,
Suki?
I won't say it started right at 40, but I had my daughter at 38. And that was a real transition. It was a strange one because I really enjoyed being a mother.
Yeah.
I had resisted it all my life, by the way.
Had you?
Oh, I mean, I had my brother to take care of, and my cousins, and I was always with kids, looking after kids. My mum was very good at getting me looking after kids all the time. And I said, oh, kids, I don't want kids.
Yeah.
And then when the time came, I was so ready. And I just loved it. I mean, it was like, I'm ready for this.
Yeah.
I really want to enjoy my life with whoever I'm going to be having. And she was a daughter.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed it thoroughly, and it brought out a mother side in me I didn't know I had.
You didn't know.
And all my friends said, Suki, you've been cheating us all this time. You've been a real career, you know. And suddenly you have this gentle, soft, understanding personality. And I'm like,
who's that?
and I'm shocking myself. I said, yeah, even I'm shocked. I'm having to adjust to this. But I've really enjoyed motherhood. I mean, I have, if anybody gets a chance, please.
Yeah,
I've really enjoyed motherhood.
Yeah. I'm similar to you. I had my daughter 3 years ago. I'm 40 now. So, but the moment she came, I was there. I was in the moment. I was right in it. And it's not that you could say that if I'd done it in my 20s, or you know, because sometimes you do. You can think these thoughts. Oh, if I have a child earlier, then I'll be growing older with them and I have more energy, etc. But when she arrived, I was just, yes, this is right. Yeah. This is right moment, right time. It's brilliant, but I totally agree with what you're saying with that one. But how does 40, if obviously we're looking at different things or looking for different things in your 20s and your 30s, and then of course when you get to your 40s, I suppose the decision-making process changes as well. How has that been for you?
I will say when I did hit 40, I found a lot of stuff which you'd been collecting along the way coming out. Like, okay.
What do you mean stuff?
Stuff, like, I remember meeting someone, a friend I hadn't seen for a long time, and she remembers me when I was really slim and all. And she told me, oh, you mean, Suki, you can look mother.
Mother is like real motherly type, yeah.
And I found my reaction was more my perception of what mother was.
And what is that?
You know, that was like wearing raggedy clothes and hair that hasn't been combed and fat and, you know, and I was like,
Let go.
Yeah, and you know, it's the end. And I said, no, that's not me. So a lot of that first came up when I initially hit 40. Then once I resolved that, I said, no, wait a minute. You just don't want to be living. You want to be alive. But
yes, and that's the point.
Yes, and that's when my shift came. And I found I had the confidence at that stage as a woman to say, I can be in Senate, I can be with my daughter, I can be anywhere and still be a woman and make the decisions with wisdom. I didn't have to fight.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes I'll stop and listen and say, this is a time to listen. This is a time to sort of push this. This is a time, and it became
You've
more...
got to balance it out.
Yeah,
yes,
and
yes.
I started enjoying that space of, I can decide when I want to be quiet. I can decide when I want to sort of speak out. I don't have to answer to anybody. I can be a woman. I can go with my hair like this.
Yes, I know. I love it.
I can dye it gold. I can, you know, it was just like I can just be whatever I want to be, and take control. Yeah. And it's not control with competition. It's just being.
Just being yourself.
Yeah.
And feeling yourself.
Yes.
And loving yourself.
Yeah. All of those.
Yeah. But have you felt that, you know, having said all these things, that perhaps there's some things that you haven't achieved that you would have liked to have achieved or would like to achieve?
I am 49, I'm going to be 50 this year. There is another shift that's coming, and it's saying, okay, my energy levels, okay, they're still there. Let's be a little realistic though. How do you want to be when you get older? What sort of life do you want to have? And I'm in a phase now, I'm looking at saying, okay, how do you set your economic situation, your finances, your setup, so that you can have a real life when you decide to retire? Or what are you going to do when you sort of reach 50, 60? you know, will you have a setup that will allow you to really continue to have this
To enjoy
enjoyment?
life. Yeah.
And you're not worrying about, okay, where am I going to get next money to pay the rent?
Yes, yes.
You know, that's
Yes.
one thing I say.
But I would say to any woman, really, take sabbaticals on occasion.
Yes.
Stop. Yeah, just stop and just take time to revisit yourself. It's like having a conference with yourself. But
True.
just to feel yourself. And I think that's hugely important. But so have you written, you know, as you're planning all these things, you're setting up, as you say, is there something that is there a list that you kind of write and think, okay, I mean, you've probably watched have you watched the Bucket List?
Yes.
With Jack
Oh,
Nicholson
that was lovely. That was lovely.
and Morgan Freeman. And I love that, the bucket list. So have you written like a bucket list in some way?
I sort of.
Yeah?
Sort of. One is now to achieve the position that I can have that other bucket list.
Yes.
You know, I think you're always revising your bucket list.
Yes, as you go along.
Yeah, as you go along. You can't sort of have a set, well, I'm not dying.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
So mine will be revised as I go along.
Yes.
But yes, I do have it because it helps. It helps with focus, especially when you have so many hats. Like I tend to do 101 things. I'm just a multitasker. And a lot of people realize I'm a problem solver and an idea creator, and they all want a bit of my time. So I have to really sort of ground some things for me and have a focus on me. So my bucket list is really to have a focus on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your take then on life and this ageism thing that happens in society?
Well, I think it's really a matter of attitude, acceptance of yourself, and choices. Those are the main things I'll say. You'll always have people sort of advising you, or sly remarks, or, you know, you're 40, why are you behaving like this? But then you have the other side where you have some young men who are like, no, it would be nice to try an older woman once in a while. I'm like, excuse me, can't you see my white hairs?
Yeah.
So I think the bottom line really is you make your choices. I want to use the word love yourself, because it all starts from loving yourself. And in being yourself and loving yourself, you find others can learn from that. But I think it's not something to be scared about. I think it's something to really enjoy. And I say, be alive, not just living.
Be alive.
Alive.
Be alive.
Yeah.
Brilliant
And do
stuff.
whatever helps you to be alive.
Well, here's to being alive with you. Thank you so
Nice.
much for coming on the show, Suki.
Thank you, Patricia.
An absolute pleasure.
That's really nice.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Keep it right here. We'll be right back.
There is actually nothing worse than sort of mutton dressed
Dressed
as
as
lamb. It's appalling. You can see this woman is desperately trying to hang on to her youth, but your youth is here.
Yeah.
I like to be comfortable, I like some color, and I don't like doing my hair.